Hello, welcome. Astrology has a very well known and well established principle based on which the timing of events is determined. We all know this. In our chart, there is a yoga, whether it's good or bad. And when the dasha of the planet involved in that particular yoga comes, we get results based on its dasha. Just like its result giving capacity regarding the involvement of the planet. Now, transits tell us exactly when we will experience something. So that means transits are very important. When it comes to timings, when the promise of the chart, the Dasha Lord, and the transits align, good things happen in good times and bad things happen in bad times. The Dasha Lord and transit can oppose each other, acting as protection. If the Dasha wants to provide something good, and the transit is not supporting it, then it can prevent a good event from happening. Or if the dasha wants to bring something bad, the transit may not support that either. This principle protects. We learn event probability with charts and assess transit strength. Today, we will learn how to determine the probability of any event based on charts and to see how much strength the transit holds in itself. In providing an event or nullifying an event, more importantly, when can we tell someone to be cautious at this time? Look, there is a bad yoga, but when should you be cautious? Or if it's a good time, even during that good time, when should you be extra cautious? Everyone likes good times and they pass by quickly, but bad times can last a month, which is a big deal, and even 12 days can be very difficult to get through. So, with the help of this principle, at least we can say that you can make changes in your behavior or your expectations because this transit is not favorable and you need to be cautious. Let's get started. Basically, today we will find out this time period can be a bit tricky and you need to be cautious. Transits and Dasha's work, astrologers advise changes or avoiding decisions. Everything is created through their collaboration. Now, an astrologer can provide the most effective remedy when they say that you should bring changes in your behavior and expectations, or that you shouldn't make any major decisions during this time period. This is the best form of practical remedy. This is how it is observed. First, we will see what our dasha is saying. That dasha works in partnership with the transit, but sometimes the transit triggers the dasha either positively or overrides it. The dasha is saying, I want to do something good, but the transit is not supporting it. We'll look placing it on charts. First of all, when the lord of the dasha or the dasha and the transit work together, what kind of effect will it have? When we talk about a tricky time period, we will discuss bad combinations. This means there is a particular affliction in our chart. All right, there is a particular house. In the natal chart, the house lord, the significator that is afflicted, one planet is afflicted in the chart, like the seventh house is afflicted by Mars, right? This is the promise of my chart, that my seventh house is afflicted by Mars, and my seventh lord is afflicted by Saturn. Now I see what the promise of my chart is, and its dasha has also come. You have the promise of my chart, which is going into reputation in the transit. The planet selecting in the transit is reselecting my house or house lord. It means that the energy I have in my chart is also being felt in the transit. So it will be felt very deeply, and its results will be experienced because these two are working together. When transits work on their own, the impact of the transit itself is very strong. It has been observed many times. What happens is that whenever there is a problem with a house, or the house lord, or the significator, especially with the house lord, or significator, any two of these, especially if they are afflicted by multiple planets. In the transit, whether there is a dasha or not, it is still about being time conscious. Look at this chart. This chart came to me at the beginning of January 2022, and they had just one question. My married life has been good recently, but there's nothing like a happy mother life. But it has been decent, but suddenly problems have started arising in my married life. The mental peace in my home has deteriorated. Sudden conflicts have started arising between my wife and mother, where she is demanding to break both houses and separate houses. And why did this happen? Or do you think this will continue? Should I look for a separate house? Or is it just a matter of time? So, how do I handle the situation? First, we will look at the Dasha, where Ketu is in the pillar of Jupiter. Who is Jupiter? Jupiter is a good planet. He's my lord of fortune in my seventh house. He's in a debilitation, but his debilitation is cancelled from multiple angles. My seventh lord is also Capricorn, but when we look back at the seventh house, it will try to safeguard. And when he himself has gone to the seventh house, then his mind, his soul is in Savant itself, and they want to uplift them, improve their fortune. It is the moon that is causing the bad fortune to be destroyed. If you are doing it yourself, don't go. Your house is breaking. The Jupiter Ketu pillar has come. Is it affecting my fourth house? Is Ketu directly flicking my fourth lord? It's not directly flicking, but the way Ketu is affecting the fourth lord is worse than direct. Ketu is exactly sitting in the eighth house from Venus, so that reflection of Ketu is very strong. It also captures significations. Venus signifies your wife and your love life. Ketu's sub-period has come, which is exactly placed in the eighth house from Venus at the same degree, so it has affected not only the fourth house but also the fourth lord. It could manifest as a car accident, some kind of mental distress at home, or they told me about separation, indicating a rift between the wife and mother. It could also lead to a disturbance in my own mental peace, less mental peace, and this combination can manifest in their life in this way. What's my Dasha Lord promising? I also need to look at the transits. If we talk about the fourth house and its afflictions, when we talk about marriage, if you stop at the seventh house and don't look at the other combinations, you are making a big mistake. The second and fourth houses are crucial. So during the transit, what is happening? At that time, Ketu, which is affecting my fourth house, is exactly sitting in that position. And during that month when this problem escalated, my seventh house and my seventh lord also got involved in that axis. More importantly, how is Venus receiving energy in the sign of its debilitation? In the natal chart, Venus is also receiving energy from Mars and Rahu. Now I need to see if my sub-period is promising this problem. So what is my Dasha Lord promising? How should I look at the transits? If we talk about the fourth house and its afflictions, when we talk about marriage, if you stop at the seventh house and don't look at the other combinations, you are making a big mistake. In marriage cases, the second and fourth houses become more important. So, during the transit, what is happening? At that time, Ketu, which is affecting my fourth house, is exactly sitting in that position. And during that month when this problem escalated, my seventh house and my seventh lord also got involved in that axis. More importantly, how is Venus receiving energy in the sign of its debilitation? In the natal chart also, Venus is receiving the energy of Mars and Rahu. When we superimpose the transit Venus onto the natal chart, which is not good at all, they were told that this time for you, according to the Dasha, is of course not very good, and the transit has supported that. Your seventh house's promise is not that bad, and your Navamsa is also decent. So, hold on for some time. You can also take your wife out for a trip, and you can reduce the interaction between her mother and your wife. You can tell your wife to stay professionally involved and less involved at home, or let some time pass. Once this time goes by, your relationship will return to normal. And as long as Ketu is in the sign of Libra, keep in mind that there shouldn't be too much direct conversation between them. Right? Look at this chart. I received this chart just 2 months ago, during the Saturn milk pillar period and without any sub-period. They told me that they have been diagnosed with testicular cancer. The association between Jupiter and Mars is not considered good. When we talk about cancer, The eighth house is important for private organs, and the eighth lord is significant, having Ketu in a direct conjunction sitting in the sign of Indakalpura. And Venus being involved there is not a good combination. Now let's talk about why the Dasha did this. I feel that Venus only brought the problem to the surface level. The problem actually must have started during the Ketu time period. When I asked them about it, they said that yes, they had a swelling problem for a long time, and at that time the antibodies had dropped significantly. But now it's becoming clear that cancer spreads quite a bit in the body because Rahu and Ketu don't allow the problem to be easily detected. Now see, when Ketu's period came in Saturn, first 2 times, Dasha. Now where was Ketu transiting at that time? Ketu was transiting from the 8th house of the Kundli. Ketu is also affecting the 8th house of the Kundli. Now when the Venus period came, they exactly realized what the problem was. Now look at the Dasha of that time, look at the transit of that time. I want to tell you how transit events trigger certain situations. They exactly tell you what problem you might have. So Ketu's placement in transit is still moving from that house. When they found out that there was a problem, Mercury was transiting through the sign of Scorpio, and Venus was also in that house, in the transit. And moreover, the natural significator, Mars, is also currently in a debilitated position. In this, the 6th house also shows the health problems. When we try to find out why the problem is detected at this time, if we apply the rules of Nadi, then for health issues, we always look at the transit of Jupiter. The life-giving Jupiter is transiting through the sign of Taurus, where their natal Rahu is placed. He always talks about health issues or turbulence. Again, they applied the principles of other transits they experienced, and their entire partner's period is also ongoing. This, again, confirms the issue of mental tension. Look at this chart. This chart, it's a good example to illustrate that sometimes transits can cause such a huge loss that there's no recovery possible. In the 7th house, Jupiter is present, which due to its rulership is not very favorable. Aries is exalted. It's in a fiery sign, but degree-wise, it's not able to protect its house very well. Now, when we talk about the problem, Ketu is in the period of the Sun. Now, the Sun is not in a very good placement from the 7th house. It is activating the 6th house. Ketu's time period is also placed in the 6th house. Ketu has a direct impact on the 7th house, 2 degrees. Now, the transit played an important role when they both decided on the chart. At that time, there was an association of Venus and Mars for the event's fructification. The association of the Lord of the 5th house and the ascendant Lord also provides important flow. In the transit, Venus and Mars were together. They were in between, but they were fitting in. Even while having inner vision and in the transit, they were in between and they decided to separate. However, they were explained a lot. In this matter of time, don't rush into making a decision right now. You will feel it after 12 months. It wasn't such a big deal, but we made it into a big deal. Now they face personal problems. If Venus and Mars were strong, maybe such a big decision wouldn't have been made. We can indicate when more problems will arise. If Venus and Mars were well placed in transit and were strong in themselves, then perhaps such a big decision would not have been taken. So in this way, we can definitely indicate during which time period more problems will be faced. Stay calm, efforts save homes. Once this passes, everything will gradually get better. In today's scenario, where divorce and separation are seen as a solution, adjustments are becoming less common. However, such efforts can save someone's home. Unless you see a lot of reflection in the chart, it seems that the upcoming dashas are also not supportive for them. And separating would be a good thing. That's when it should be said that separation should be taken and you should do what feels right for you. I hope you like this video. Thank you much.